we're in our series, week 3 of Stand, understanding whose we are in a world trying to define who you are. And we've been talking about rooting our identity in a relationship. And kind of this is the quote we've been going through and talking about. You are not your gender, your nationality, your ethnicity, your skin color, or your social class. You are a child of God. Okay, it's relational. It's not about all the markers and the things that we tend to look at someone and we want to pigeonhole them. We want to put them in this box, this category, this label. We love labels. They help us feel secure, and we know who's in, who's out, who's bad, who's good based on whatever thing. But sometimes these identities, even that we give ourselves, they're just too small. And so we look at this deeper identity. You are a child of God and always will be, even when you don't believe it. And the great thing about this identity rooted in a relationship with God, is this: it transcends and includes all other identities. It's not that those things aren't part of who you are. It's they're just not your deepest rooted identity. And being a child of God can include any and all of those other identities. And when we said when you know whose you are, you have a better idea of who you are to be and what you ought to do. We looked into what we call third way, nonviolent resistance, and how to stand up for whose you are and to stand up against injustice, but to do it in a way that honors you and the other person. And we said when you know these things, you can make a real difference in a positive way. And then last week we said when you know whose you are, you have a better idea of where your worship belongs. And that's where what's over here, we have this. We said that when all of us are worshiping, even when we don't think we are, maybe we're like, oh, I'm not spiritual, I don't know about all that God stuff, that's not really me. It's like, no, when we looked at it, we were like, oh, all of us are worshiping, and it's more than sometimes the very small things that we reduce worship down to. We said there's an object that we have an affection for, reflection of, a connection to, and confidence in, and that when we have all 4 of these aspects surrounding an object, we tend to what is called worship. And we said that if our object of worship is spoken for because we know whose we are and God is that, and again, if you have problems with the word God, we sometimes use the word the divine, right? The ground of being, the very source of everything that exists. When we have a relationship with God, and that is, a relationship is He's our object of worship, then we can understand in the face of trials, listen, our worship is spoken for. It's spoken for. This is where it belongs. And we look at the story of Daniel's 3 friends. And so this week, we talked about Daniel and his 3 friends. Last week we looked at just his 3 friends. This week we're getting back to Daniel. And the storyline is this. King Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Babylon. They had taken Israel's kind of like royal kids, basically, and brought them in. They castrated them. They gave them new stories. They gave them new names. They tried to give them this new identity. And we see them, they're in this foreign kingdom, but they've done so well that they actually are now like, they're government officials. And so that was under Nebuchadnezzar, and then Nebuchadnezzar dies, and Belshazzar, the king, rises to power, and we see that he is kind of like judged by Daniel based on his actions and his pride and his ego. And Daniel tells him, like, turn away from the sin of your ways. And he says basically do right by the poor. And that we see that was part of his sin and his ego, was he was consuming and he was harming the poor, and he did not do that. And so we see Darius and the Medes and the Persians take over Babylon. And so now Darius is kind of in charge of the Babylon area. He's king, if you will, of this area. But the Persian Empire was huge. But over this area, and so he divides up the provinces, and he gives it to these various government officials. And what we see is that Daniel and friends become these leaders over this, and Daniel rises to the top. And so much so, we find this, that Daniel soon proved himself more capable than all the other administrators and high officers because of Daniel's great ability. The king made plans to place him over the entire empire. Okay, so like Daniel has risen to the top so much so the king like, listen, I'm going to put the whole thing in your hands. Maybe if you're familiar with the story of Joseph in Genesis, we looked at that last year, and a very similar thing happened because of the character and integrity with which he led and the way he persevered through hard times. And so we see the same thing with Daniel. He rises to the top so much so that Darius wants to put him over all the empire. Now, if you do anything well, there's one thing that is bound to happen. You're going to have some haters, right? They're gonna be there. If you do anything well, and I'll say this, if you do anything with integrity, if you do anything with character, and you're recognized for it, people are going to rise up and they are going to hate that. And at times they're even going to hate you. And so what we see is this rise of these haters, these other officials, these other government leaders. They look at Daniel, they're like, the king wants to make him like over the whole empire. We can't have that. He's not one of us. And so they get together and they come up with an idea. And their idea is, we are going to stroke the king's ego, and we're going to create a new law. So they go to Darius and say, listen, for 30 days, we need you to come up with a law that basically forbids anyone from praying to any other god or any other person for 30 days except you. So they concluded, our only chance of finding grounds for accusing Daniel will be in connection with the rules of his religion. What they knew is, if we get him to make a law that you can't pray to anyone else, we're going to get Daniel. Why? Because we know that's something that he does. The rules of his religion. That this is something that he does that is personal to him. This is something that Daniel wouldn't forsake. In chapter 1 of Daniel and in chapter 6, he's an older man now. He's still not going to do it. And so they made this law. And then here's what happened. It says, but when Daniel learned that the law had been signed, he went home and knelt down as usual in his upstairs room. I think very important, as usual. What do you do as usual? Because what we usually do is what we will do when the haters attack. Right? When the people come after us, the thing that we usually do is the thing that we will do. And so it says he went up to his upstairs room with his windows open toward Jerusalem, which was the capital city of Israel. This was a very important city because it's where the temple was. And where the temple was in Jewish religion was where God was. And so he prayed 3 times a day, just as he had always done, giving thanks to his God. And so then, what did that do? They said, the guys go to the king. They said, then they told the king, that man Daniel, one of the captives from Judah, remember him from this other place? He's not one of us. He's ignoring you and your law. He still prays to his God 3 times a day. Now, this law was created around the king's ego. Because I don't know if you know this, but people have egos, and they get bigger the more power and authority we're given, and they need to be checked. And so so people with power and authority, if you can stroke their ego, they can be manipulated. But guess what? He liked Daniel. He liked Daniel. This was a good thing, but the problem is that the law was binding. It was going to happen, and once he signed it into law, he could not overturn it himself, even as the king. So Daniel was arrested and thrown into a den of lions because the penalty for worshiping anything else other than the king for those 30 days was death. And so they got him, right? I mean, as far as the story is concerned, as far as if you're reading up to this, you're like, they got him. They knew what he would do, as usual, because he did it, per usual, and they got him. And the king is not happy about this, but he has to follow through on the law. So Daniel's in there overnight. King comes back and says, when he got there to the pit where they throw Daniel in, he says he called out in anguish, Daniel, servant of the living God, was your God whom you serve faithfully able to rescue you from the lions? And who knows what he felt? I think this is such an interesting thing, right? You throw someone in a pit of hungry lions designed to rip him apart. probably just assume that's what happened, right? But we see this hopefulness of this king based on his relationship with Daniel, and I love it that he connects Daniel to his deepest rooted identity, servant of the living God, who's your God, like this living God. This God is not an idol. You know, one of the most interesting things about when Babylon ransacked Judah and they went into the temple, what they would do is Nebuchadnezzar, what he was famous for, was he would take the idols from the temples of all these places that he went to, and he had a God collection, right? He would capture their gods, because every tribe, every nation had a god. He would take it, he would put it, and he would have this God collection. When they went into the temple, like God wasn't actually there, right? There was no idol. It's not this dead, lifeless thing. Their living God was portable, was moving, he was active, he was all over, right? You can't contain God. And so this living God that you have a relationship with is able to rescue you from lions. Lions said, "Long live the king. My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so they would not hurt me, for I have been found innocent in his sight, and I have not wronged you, your majesty." So he was able to honor the king, right? Because praying to God wasn't about dishonoring this person. It was about honoring himself and his God, where his worship was spoken for. And I love that he maintains his integrity and his respect even for the leader, for his boss, if you will. He maintains respect for him in this. And leads us to our idea worth discussing. When you're firm in whose you are and what you ought to do, unstable situations won't affect either. When you're firm in whose you are, your identity, in the deepest relationship, and what you ought to do, unstable situations won't affect either. And our idea today, what I want to talk about is this idea of spiritual practices and routines and disciplines. Because Daniel did what he usually did. He went back to, as soon as he heard the law was written, what did he do? He went back to the thing that grounds him in his most true identity. And that's what spiritual disciplines, routines, and practices do. They ground us to what matters most. They guide us to be who we're meant to be in the world. And they gird us or prepare us to be ready for any challenge. What do you do as usual? What are your spiritual disciplines and practices? Where do you go? And honestly, a lot of us, maybe we don't have those. Right? Maybe you've never developed those, and maybe because you came from a place where that is what was pushed on you. You have to do this or you're not a good person. Now, here's the thing about spiritual practices and disciplines and routines. They are not the end goal. They are a means to an end. The problem comes, and there's this word sometimes thrown around in the Christian world, legalism. The problem comes when I base my identity on my spiritual disciplines and how well and often I do them versus my identity in Christ, in God as a child of God. That's the danger. So sometimes maybe if you grew up in that, right? You go to church every Sunday, and you read the Bible and you pray all these times, and that became, it was drilled in you. That's what you're supposed to do because that's what good people do. It's very easy to just resist those things. Because the point being is those things aren't the end. They're supposed to get you to an end. And I'll say this, it's different for all of us. So while these good things have been made bad things, what I want to do today is help maybe redeem some of those things in our hearts and in our minds and open us up to a routine and a practice that are flexible and open-handed. One of the things that I do is that different routines and different practices in different ways all the time to keep them fresh and so that I try not to push those on other people. Rob Bell says it this way. He says, find your rituals, develop your routines, create those practices that ground and center you. Stick to them. Don't apologize for them. Treat them, even the small things, like they're big. Why? Because the haters are coming. Life happens. Suffering is always a possibility. These practices help us get to a place where we cannot be moved. You ever seen somebody that just handles things well in their life? Like a moment happens that shouldn't wreck them, and you think to yourself, they just seem to be like in the flow with the thing, like this is all just part of it. I guarantee that person has some deeply spiritual practices that they go to regularly. And most of us want to be able to handle life that way, without the disciplines, without the practices, without the as-usuals in our life. It is much more difficult to handle when hard times come. And so, I want to give you 5 disciplines that I try and have in my life at different times. Different ones are heightened, and these are specifically spiritual discipline we practice. You know, there's people physically that they have certain things that they discipline themselves to do, right? Because they want to their body to look and function a certain way. Maybe even academically, there's certain disciplines that people have. Well, spiritually, we need those things as well. One of my favorite lines in the movie Doctor Strange is when he's trying to figure out how to do this spiritual thing, this mystical thing, and he's like, I can't do it. And she asks him, how did you get to be able to do the surgeries that you can do? He said, study and practice. And guess what? She said, it's the same thing with this. Study and practice, study and practice, study and practice. Study and practice. And so here's some practices. First one, church participation. Oh, I had to get that out of the way first. I'm a pastor. I have to encourage it. No. Listen, this isn't about me or downtown faith or anything. This is about you. And church attendance and engagement at the table may be your practice right now. Some of you are incredibly faithful to this because it is your practice. You need this. And I'll say this, for a lot of people, just showing up isn't really even enough. And so that's why I put the word participation there. Not just church attendance, but church participation. At what level are you invested in? At what level are people expecting something of you within this group? You see, church is more than just sitting and listening to a guy preach and somebody sing. It's one of the reasons why we put tables out and encourage discussion, because this is a place to serve. And serving is a great practice in humility. It's a place to learn. Learning about our spirituality is a great context within which to learn. And we learn by doing. It's a great place for communion. And for some of you, that word means, a little bit of wine or juice and a cracker. No, I'm talking about being with the people that matter. Like-minded people that are on a spiritual journey just like you are, and sharing your stories and talking to each other and building friendships. That's church participation. And I'll say this, whether it's this church or some other church, I would encourage you that this is a great practice, and it may be some first steps for a lot of people. But also reading and listening. Reading and listening. This has to do with that study aspect, right? Reading, so sure, reading the Bible, but there's also a wealth of theology and spirituality and writings out there for us to be taking in that are pulling out truth, and people who are sharing their journey with us. The Bible is one of those resources. It's a great one, but there's a whole other world of faith out there as well that we can add to and supplement with our reading, but also listening. I don't know if you guys know this, but podcasting is huge. And there's people out there with a lot of ideas, and they're sharing them in long form on podcasts. And it's actually one of my disciplines right now is every Monday. One of the first things I do once I have gotten into I'm like, okay, I'm going to go out to the week now, right? I'm going to sleep in a little bit. I'm going to shower. I'm going to try to eat a good breakfast, and I'm going to go out. And one of the first things I do is I listen to a podcast that is healing and helpful to me. It helps fuel me back up, because on Sundays a lot of times I'm pouring myself out. It's a great practice. It's one of my favorites right now. Prayer and meditation. Prayer and meditation. It's not just God do this for me, God do this for me, but deep communication and communion with God. Meditating on a spiritual thought or something from the Bible that maybe you read or something that you heard, and really considering that and thinking that, taking time. And meditation has been proven to help our brains and our bodies function better. Silence and solitude. And I don't mean being a hermit and going and getting a cabin for a weekend, but I do mean maybe turning your phone off on a Saturday or Sunday. I do mean taking that walk that you know, if you just force yourself to get up and go out and do it, is so healing and helpful to you. And using that time to just say, maybe, thank you, God, for this, and thank you for that, and I'm grateful for this, and I see that over there. And just being mindful in prayer, meditation, and silence and solitude. And then lastly, fasting. This is kind of maybe one that is a real struggle for me. I try and fast regularly throughout the year. And again, it looks different. Last year was 3 days a month. Basically, that kind of puts it at about 10% of my year I put towards fasting. This year, it looks a little different. But it's about the same amount of time. I want to give 10% just intentional prayer and fasting. And again, these aren't the goal. These are just a means to an end. These are great ways for study and practice, because when we're firm in who you are and what you ought to do, unstable situations won't affect you. When we're firm in that, we know who we are. Why? Because we have study, we have practice that takes us back and reminds us daily, this is whose I am. This is my relationship. When social media is just pouring in on us and it's negative and it seems like everybody you know is fighting about something, we go back to this center and we're grounded and we're guided and prepared for it. Why? Because